The only funny woman on the internet. I love Shoe so fucking much. I've been a fan of her since, well, about for 10 years now, actually. I'm excited to see what her video has in this case.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to inform you that the rumors are indeed true. The Democrats have struck back. In the New Jersey governor's race, the Democrat won. In the Virginia governor's race, the Democrat won. And in the New York City race, Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo to become the next mayor of America's largest city. But the question on
I know the question of the title is how did we get here? I'm curious on what Shoe's going to address with this. Because I covered this, the VODs should still be up on Kick because they get deleted on a monthly basis, and I know the VODs on Rumble still, because the VODs stay up on Kick and Rumble for the YouTube Bros information. And a large part of it, especially when it came to Zohran Mamdani, was foreigners. Once again, immigration is a massive problem. If you look at the statistics, when it came to Mamdani in particular, that the longer someone has been in New York City, the less likely they are to vote for Mamdani. He had almost all, like, it was like, I forget the statistic off the top of my head. It was like 70% support from people who have been here in the past 5 years. And then dropped to like 60% for like 10 years for that. Like, it was crazy high support that he had with just brand fresh out the boat of foreigners, which he himself was also fresh out the boat himself. He came here in 2018. He is a paperwork American. He should be deported. There's like 5 different ways we can actually deport him if we wanted to. But no, he just goes to the White House and gets all friendly with Trump. And it's like, okay, whatever.
everyone's mind is, was it just a fluke? Just easy wins in blue cities and states? Or is there something more to this? Is this a sign of things to come? Is the Democratic Party finally turning their losing streak around? Are they actually listening to the people now? Did they finally learn their lesson? No. Thanks for watching. My last 3 videos about electoral politics were warning the Democratic Party that young men were moving right because the party f***ing sucks and was becoming the young men eat and die movement, spanking the Democratic Party for losing because they elected one of the most unlikable shittiest candidates while offering absolutely nothing to voters, and defending the voters from the wrath of a bunch of liberal streamer man-children calling the voters stupid and evil for daring not to vote for Hillary Clinton and brownface. But the thesis for all 3 of those videos was basically the same. As the right embraces working-class populism, the Democratic Party and the left will continue to fade into irrelevancy. But as I also predicted in those last videos, there might be an eventual pendulum swing, and it might be happening much sooner than I predicted. Like, how did we go from Republicans winning the popular vote, in part thanks to a lot of the young people voting, to a bunch of data showing those same young people dropping their support for the GOP already? But the interesting thing is, those young people don't seem to be moving to the Democratic Party either. Where are they going? And do the Democrats have a plan to scoop these people up? Yes, they do, and they called it, I'm not kidding, deciding to win. Deciding to win, as if the whole time they have just been simply deciding to lose. It was a choice, guys. They changed their mind and they want to win now. In this video, I will talk about why I think Zohran Mamdani won. We will go through the Democrat Party.
I mean, you could maybe make the argument that they were deciding to lose, since they kept them pushing the gay race communism so much. They were attacking white straight men, calling them evil, and their base is just women and browns. That's the other statistic as well for not only Zohran Mamdani, but for the other mayors and governors that won in those elections that she brought up, is that if you look at the statistics for them, it's women and browns that voted for them. Once you add in the white factor, it goes down significantly. And once you add the white male factor, it goes down even further. Not only is their base foreign in the case of Mamdani, which is also brown, it is specifically a women problem, so repeal the 19th, and a brown problem, so deport them. Like, it's very much the case. Also, another factor is that they're also Democrat states, and in this case, Democrat cities, so the Democrats going to win in that case. That's what actually happened in these elections. But I saw somebody in chat said that she doesn't mention demographics, which I'm not that surprised. I don't think she's a noticer in the case of Israel, but she's not a noticer in the case of racism.
Plan to decide to win. We will briefly talk about the rise of the political commentator Nick Fuentes, the MAGA civil war, and what I like to call the inevitable rise of shoe-socialism. If that sounds interesting, stick around. If it doesn't, you can leave. It's not like I'll miss you or anything, Baka.
Son.
I know a lot of you are not very interested in politics. You come here for the fun Reddit slop, the men versus women content. Yeah, I know. But unfortunately, politics kind of seeps into your lives whether you want it to or not. So you might as well be entertained when you hear about it and have some fun with it when you can. And I just so happen to have the perfect app for that. So before we get into this political deep dive, let's quickly give a shout out to today's sponsor, one of my favorite sponsors to work with, Ground News.
If you're a YouTube bro, go down to the link description below and copy paste for the dragonstrasher.com. And if you're a kick bro, go on the about page, and go to the dragonstrasher.com, use code Amalgamyte for 10% off because you can use your tea, soap, and coffee needs there. They're all handmade, natural, made by the base tea man himself. He's actually really quite base, it's insane. He also recently got new energy drinks. Powdered energy drink he's trying out. I know I'm not a coffee drinker, but I know the tea is good. I've tasted it before. The soap's also good as well, and I'm excited to try the energy drinks. But yeah, use code Amalgamyte for 10% off. Support this channel and demonetize on YouTube, please.
For those of you familiar with the Shoe0nHead channel, you know I've harshly criticized the Democratic Party for all my career. Some say too harshly. Frankly, I don't care. And some say I'm not harsh enough on the Republicans. First of all, true, but let's be honest, that's not why you come here. You go to Kyle Kalinske for that. Just like you go to Destiny to see opinions you can hear on CNN, or to Hassan for dog training tips. You come here to hear, golly gee willikers, I'm left-wing, and the Democrats have gone crazy. That's the shit you're here for. But are the Democrats
Pretty much,
actually getting their shit together? Or did they simply get lucky in a few blue areas? One of those blue areas being my city, New York, where Democratic Socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani won the election and will become the new mayor. And a lot of people are like really confused about how this happened. And if you're one of those people, you really need to keep watching. If you don't understand why Mamdani won, I'm sorry to say, but you're kind of like the liberals in 2016 who didn't understand why Trump won. It's actually extremely understandable why Zohran Mamdani won, and it's not just because New York is full of commies or whatever. He is objectively the best Democratic candidate that they've had in a very, very long time. Like, I know the bar is in hell there, but he's young, he's energetic, he's charismatic. And people are really tired of the White House doubling as a retirement home. And of course, I like many of his economic policies. I like the universal childcare thing, the transportation, flipping off the Christopher Columbus statue. That's the shit I don't like. Bitch, that's our fucking guy. He was a brave Italian explorer who discovered America, and in this house, Christopher Columbus is a hero. End of story. I've said this many times, but I
didn't want to interrupt her during the Italian bit. But this is where Shoe socialism comes out, because that's the thing, chat. I've loved Shoe. I've been a fan of her for 10 fucking years now, right? It's 2025, right? So basically, yeah, 10 years now, okay? I remember her potato camera that she refused to get rid of for the longest time, and the whole, the button that she would press about the wage gap because she got so tired talking about it, because back in the day, the left was called social justice warriors, and they were talking about the patriarchy and feminism, and Anita Sarkeesian was the big evil bad during the time period. Like, this is what we're talking about here. That's how long I've been here for, but she is still a leftist, she is still a socialist, and personally, I don't actually support these policies myself. I would be more open to them if we had a homogeneous society and a smaller population. In the case of the US, needs to be state level. There's a reason why this works in Nordic countries. There's a reason why it worked for the longest time in the UK until relatively recently, the past 20 years. But I don't know if Shoe's gonna actually talk about that problem here, because I can tell you it's the demographics. And until we actually fix our demographics, that's not possible. Plus, the US is just too large in general, in my opinion. And so for now, yeah, I definitely don't support those policies. And then maybe I'll consider it when we actually fix those problems. But we're not fixing the problems anytime soon, so for now, fuck this shit.
I think the good left-wing policies can even exist alongside the bad left-wing policies. Like, I don't know how you can have free transportation, but also be soft on crime. Like, I don't know, like, in what world does that work out? You can't have nice, clean, free transportation if a bunch of drug addicts and violent felons are going around stabbing people and setting them on fire. You can't have nice things if you don't have rules to enforce those nice things. You know what I mean? It's always such a breath of fresh air when I go back to visit my family in the suburbs of Long Island and I go to the CVS and the toothpaste is free from their plexiglass prisons. I shouldn't have to wait 10 minutes for some poor wagey to come unlock the cagey so I can buy shampoo. We don't have to live that way. Maybe he'll do great, or maybe he gets into power and immediately cucks to the establishment.
But the reason why we live this way is the demographics. And until we want to address that, it's never going to be solved. Now, of course, we could have the normie solution, where we don't have to talk to the demographics and we can just incarcerate people and lock them away, but Kaylee style, like I was saying earlier. Alright, now, we can't have that, because there's a reason why, when she goes to her family in Long Island, the toothpaste is free from their cages.
Establishment like some other people. I don't like to talk about it. I just don't know how the hell anyone thought Andrew Cuomo was going to win. He killed a bunch of grandmas during COVID.
As you admitted this week, you personally altered the state health department report to undercount the death total, to hide the death total, and then evaded and lied to these families for 5 years. So
you killed the shit.
Not to defend Cuomo here, Madami would have done the same thing. Madami would have supported the mask mandates. Madami would have supported the lockdown. Madami would have supported, grandma dying in the nursing home, essentially, just like this. Maybe, would he be smart enough to fudge the numbers? I don't know about that part. But he would have supported the vaccine mandates, as well as the passports, etc., etc. In fact, he'd probably be even harder than Cuomo. Sorry.
A ton of people. For what? Plus, he doesn't even live in New York City. He doesn't live in the city he's running to be mayor of. Cuomo just kind of expected to win based on name recognition alone and being like, hey, at least I'm not the other guy. Sound familiar? Trump actually offered a vision. Make America great again. Mamdani offered a vision. A New York City you can afford. So people took a chance on him. People wanted something different. Andrew Cuomo, he had no vision or anything. Oh man, I love tuning into a debate about New York City and 80% of it is about another f***ing country.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first?
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
I would go to Israel.
I'd make my 4th trip to Israel.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just...
Holy Land, Israel. 4th visit to Israel. I'll stay in the U.S. Oy vey indeed. Oy vey. Oy vey. What a bad little going there. And okay. And the thing is, well, I do actually agree with Mondami in this case, right? I will agree hard on this point with him. He is so smug. He knows he has in the bag right there. Now, you might be able to be like, okay, well, you made the argument that he knows his base is radical left-wingers that love Palestine and hate Israel with a passion. And so he knows not to answer that way. It's also because he's also a Muslim too. Regardless of the case, he doesn't want to support Israel for the same. He doesn't like Israel or want to go to the Holy Land for the same reasons that we do, for example, or I do. But regardless, it is the right answer. It actually shows loyalty to America, even though he's not loyal to America at all, since he's fresh out of the boat foreigner and a massive communist. When he hates white people with a burning passion and specifically said he'll tax the rich white men, specifically, part of his policy plan. But this was the right move. Fun fact though, chat, and for the people who support Mamdani because of Palestine, he actually has a ton of Jewish backers. A ton of Jewish backers.
Jump in. Would you visit Israel?
That was the exact moment I knew Zoran was going to win. Bro was just surrounded by NPCs. I love how they're like, where would you go? And Zoran was like, I'm gonna stay here. And instead of being like, no, Zoran, the question was, where would you go? They're like, why wouldn't you go to Israel? That's the answer to the question. That's just the default answer to that question. His win was very much in part a direct response to the affordability crisis that many Americans are facing. So what is the GOP's answer to the affordability crisis? Oh, great news, guys. There is no affordability crisis. It doesn't exist. It's all in your head, silly. Need to save money? Simply don't buy your grandmother a Christmas present this year.
Budget. You need a plan. Also remember, adults don't need gifts, okay? Focus on the people in your life who are age 3 to 18. Grandma doesn't need slippers. If they don't live by you, don't get them a gift. Now's not the time to spend and break the banks.
Zoran's win was all...
My sister told me that she saw that clip. And I had a heart, I believed her, but at the same time, I was like, what the fuck? Did she not tell me it was Fox News having the audacity to tell you that? That's insane. I do agree to a certain extent that, Christmas should focus a little bit more on the kids. And so maybe put a little bit more money into like the kids themselves when it comes to the presents, 3 to 18, kind of like they were saying, but it's still a family event. It's still technically supposed to be a religious holiday. It's love and care. You should buy your family members a present even if you don't live together. Grandma's about to die. Don't you want to give her something nice while she's on her deathbed? Like, seriously, what is wrong with you? And the whole no affordability crisis is just insane, too. Like, I don't like Shoe being a socialist, unfortunately. And I don't like the fact that so far she hasn't mentioned the demographics. Granted, we're 10 minutes into a 30-minute video here when it comes to this stuff. But it's just like, okay, now there is a reason why people like me, who have been Trump supporters all this time, are getting frustrated with Trump because he's not actually addressing the issues at hand here. Like, Jesus Christ. I'll take a gift card and some socks, though. I mean, me too. But, like, it's supposed to be family and bonding time. You're supposed to get together, have a nice meal, enjoy the pretty lights and the Christmas tree and the festive music, and show that you care by giving them something nice. Like, there are 2 times a year where we can actually, treat and show true appreciation. Granny can do this anytime, technically, right? But there's 2 special times a year we can do this with friends and family. That's their birthdays, and this is Christmas. People need holidays and celebrations to strengthen bonds and relax and have a fun time. This is necessary for psychological development. All of human history has always had some sort of festival and holiday celebration, some more barbaric and bloody than others, as a way to actually bond and grow stronger with the family community. And it's all usually for religious sense too, because religion does have meaning and purpose. It is useful. So this is necessary to cheapen out. And I say cheapen out. I know financial struggling this time. Like, obviously, if you can't spend as much as you did last year, that's fine. But if you can just throw $25 at your dad, for example, just to participate and show that you care, like, you should. You shouldn't cheapen out like that. You're just an asshole there. Ungrateful.
Also basically a direct response to the housing crisis in America. So what is the GOP's response to the pie-in-the-sky, commie gobbledygook that Zoran Mamdani is selling? Surely they have a better solution.
Here we go. The White House is floating this idea. Bill Pulte is saying, thanks to President Trump, we can indeed work on the 50-year mortgage, a complete game changer. How does that work in dollars? Here you go. 30-year fixed mortgage right now. You're paying $2,038 a month, principal and interest on a $400,000 home. At the bottom, under 50 years, you'd save a couple $100 a month at $1,822 principal and interest.
And how much more are you actually paying in interest itself, though, huh? You're literally you're not owning. You'll own nothing and you will be happy for your entire life. Let's say if you're lucky and you can manage to get a home at 25, which I think the medium home age is in like the late 30s now. I think it's 39 is what I saw, if I remember correctly. But let's say you're lucky and you get it at 25. 50 year means you're 75. You're basically dead. You spent your whole entire life not actually owning your house. You're basically renting your house to the government. And you still have all the responsibilities like mowing the grass and fixing the pipes, repainting, a mold, whatever, all the different consequences of actually owning a house. The responsibilities in that case. And yet you never actually own that house and you just die. And then you have what if you have a major traumatic event? Car accident, health issues, death of the family, whatever the case is, and you have to remortgage and you start all over again. Like, it's just, it is so upsetting. And the worst part is, because there's people who would be like, well, you see, actually, you don't actually get the 50-year mortgage then. Well, you see, you dumb bitch. Now that they're in place, they're going to become more common because there's going to be people who just are dumb and they just look at the lower monthly payment, don't look at the long-term consequences of how much more you're actually paying in the end, and the fact that you don't actually own the house ever. And they're going to actually utilize the 50-year mortgages, so the market's going to change and focus more and more on 50-year mortgages, and it's going to cause more and more problems. And it doesn't make it any easier to buy houses because the demand for houses is still going up. It's still ridiculously expensive to own a house. And wages are not going up, they're just going down, essentially. And it's harder and harder to get a job between the under-the-table bullshit, the H-1Bs, the DI practices. The list goes on and on and on. The amount of fake jobs online, because they literally just have to, the HR lady has to justify her job, and so she just create fake proposals on there because they have to. And people are just not getting jobs, and so they can't do it. The 50-year mortgage doesn't do anything. Pass ownership to the kids if I have anything, yes. I do fully believe in that. As long as your kid's not a worthless druggie that pisses everything away, yeah, do that. It's the best way to go about it. Not like the fucking boomers here. Ugh. No, oy vey, what do you mean you want to be a wage slavey to the bank?
Is proposed. Do you like this idea?
I do not like this idea.
Not lowering prices, not building more housing, no, just being a good little slave to the bank for 50 years. You might as well be a rentoid forever in this case. Like, at least you don't have to fix your own dishwasher. You will own nothing and be happy. Doesn't that sound great, Gen Z? Vote for us. We'll release the Epstein files and finally drain the swamp. Awesome. Finally, justice. Here it comes, the Epstein Files Phase 1. We got all your favorite E-celebs here. Don't you think that's a little tacky? I mean, like, this is an international child trap. The Epstein Files are on my desk. Oh, that's great, that's great. That's what we've been waiting for. Well? Oh, they don't exist. Wait, what? Yeah, the Epstein Files don't exist. They're a Democrat hoax. But you just said, hey, what the fuck? That's my wallet. Sorry, Israel needs new weapons. Bye. What do you want, Democrat? Vote for us. Why? What do you have to offer? Hey, that's my wallet again. What are you people doing? Sorry. Israel needs new weapons.
Uh-huh.
Bye. The Epstein Files.
I fucking love Shoe. I fucking love Shoe so much. It's like, even though I disagree with the socialist aspect of things, mainly because of the demographics aspect and where we're currently at and America's different, blah, 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 like I explained earlier. But even though I disagree with that case, and that's exactly what has happened, the Pan Bondi skip was perfect. I've covered the Epstein Files repeatedly. I have like 5 or 10 VODs at this point. Going over okay, that 10 might be a bit much. But I have a ton of VODs covering the Epstein Files and the response to it. Or even just like briefly mentioning it here and there just to criticize Trump. I am so fucking sick of Trump right now. Would I vote for Kamala Harris? Of course fucking not. But I'm so fucking tired of all these big promises and all this craziness. And then just pulling the rug under, from beneath their feet and then throwing it away and then like, oh, it's a Democrat hoax. Oh, but Israel's our greatest ally. Oh, fuck off.
Are a really big deal. This is not a partisan issue. You should absolutely care about an international child trafficking, a blackmail operation consisting of the most powerful people in the world. And anyone telling you to move on is coping, gaslighting, or in on it. If whatever is in there is so damning that it is a national security risk, the people deserve to know. Like, I don't know about you, but if we are paying taxes to a bunch of satanic pedophiles, I would like to know. That is information I would like to know. Like, I already know we're doing that, but I would like some confirmation. Okay, so literally as I am filming this, Trump is saying he is releasing the Epstein Files, so
I saw that. I think I covered that the other day. Once again, I have so many VODs at this point as me talking about the Epstein Files. It's not even a major issue of me. I know that's a hot take. I know somebody's probably going to take that out of context. When I see a major issue, I mean in the sense that I care about it and I hate what Trump has done with it and I do think it should be released. But I also think that pedophiles have always been in high places of power, like Hollywood, for example, politicians. Like, everybody knows this stuff. It's been going on for as long as humans have existed with this case, and it should be prosecuted, and everybody involved should be locked up and get the death penalty. But, yeah. So, and things are worse overall. So, like, Epstein's probably, like, 5th on my list. And the worst part, nobody will legit pay for their crimes, and both sides will use it to their advantage and pretend to be the better side, yes. Like, I firmly believe that both sides are in the files. That's why the Democrats didn't actually use them. Like, didn't actually use it to go after Trump when they were in power.
I guess they weren't a hoax. I'm gonna be so honest. I have no idea what the is going on, you guys. I'm sure when this video gets posted, there's already gonna be more things that have happened. Also, Mike Johnson apparently—
Actually, I don't think there has. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chat, but I haven't seen anything. Like, I saw the tweet that he talked about. I'm pretty sure I actually read it on stream when it came out a few days ago. But I don't think I've actually seen anything so far.
Apparently said they need to make changes to the files to make sure we, quote, don't do permanent damage to the political system. If releasing the Epstein files would do damage to the political system, then so be it. Then it deserves to be damaged. It deserves to be destroyed. Just release the files. After all, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Isn't that right, government? But it wasn't just the Epstein Files thing that has MAGA feeling a little demoralized lately.
Does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people
you
here.
don't. No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn.
We've talked about this a few times on this channel.
I was like, this clip makes me so angry. We clearly have talent. We have talent. There's so many people that jobs. I know 2 people in particular that have been trying for over a year to get a job. And they have the credentials, they have the degrees, they have the experience. But they're white. So therefore, no, you're denied. What do you mean? Like, I found out actually yesterday that apparently back in like the 70s, no, it was before, actually, no, it was before the 70s, decades ago at this point, they actually have the home build kits. Like, you literally would, like a Sears catalog type of deal. Not only do you pick, like, I know there's a Sears catalog where you can pick your home and then it gets, like, delivered to you and it's all taken care of. But there's also, before that, there was their own little catalogs where you actually had a whole book on how to build a house. And so people who could just basically just buy the parts that were needed, had step-by-step instructions on how to build a house, and even if you weren't a construction worker before, you could just build your own house. Because you can just do things. You can literally just do things. We have the talent, we have the ability to do this, we have the smarts and the capabilities. We can just do it. What do you mean there's nothing here? I am so angry about this. That he has the audacity to say these things. And yet here we are, and then they wonder why, maybe this is why we don't actually have, support as many more. It's all dropping like crazy here. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, man.
Actually, very recently in the male loser epidemic video, the no talented Americans thing is a myth pushed on us by corpos and billionaires, so they can hire foreign workers who will work for less money and won't unionize. Worker drones who will work under the coercion of deportation, essentially creating infinite scab labor. Even though there are so many Americans in these fields looking for jobs. But those spoiled Americans will ask for a living wage so they can live in a 600-foot square apartment. How dare they? We can't do that. So import 1 billion immigrants. After all, it's good for business.
Folks are not thrilled about this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States.
If we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
And it's not that I want them.
The crazy thing is, too, that I forget her name at this point, but the Fox News interviewer, right, the presenter here, I've seen her all over the place before. She's more right-leaning than the actual president himself. Like, Fox News has been known to be sucking Trump's dick. I know they're not perfect, they have their issues too. But the fact that even she's like, so, who cares? Like, who cares if these colleges go out of business? They're acting as a business. They should die if they're not able to do it. Like, it's just great. Why do we need Chinese spies? Almost every single Chinese person's a spy. Okay, call me racist. I don't fucking care. Right? The amount of stories we have to hear where another Chinese spy tries to sneak in another bioweapon again. These are the ones that we catch and we're aware of. It happens all the fucking time. Earlier this year, I covered a story where there was in the University of Michigan, 2 Chinese students were trying to sneak in a fungus that would wipe out the wheat here in America. Wheat. I know our bread is toxic, and you really shouldn't eat American bread for a multitude of reasons. But wheat is still a staple part of diet. We need wheat to survive. Like, and they just brought in a fungus that would just naturally wipe out our wheat supply. It's all cool. Chinese students from the University of Michigan. Huh. So you want to bring in more Chinese students? 600,000 in 2 years? I think not. How about we stop bringing them in, and we can have, 600,000 slots open for students that actually need it. Now, personally, I think college is a scam. It should be for STEM and certain STEM fields at this point, and women shouldn't go and blah, blah, blah. But you're not helping the case. You're not helping actual Americans' cases when they're trying to get into college as well, and you're just increasing the prices for it. And we also have Chinese spies. Wow, this sounds fantastic here. They should die. These colleges should fail. They're only surviving off federal grants. This is why there are people who support the funny mustache man coming back. Congratulations.
but I view it as a business.
Unfortunately, America does feel like nothing but 3 corporations in a trench coat. But America is not a business. America is not a corporation. It is a nation. The contrast of what Trump is saying here compared to how he used to talk is staggering. Republicans embracing populism, at least rhetorically, is what gave rise to Donald Trump and fundamentally changed the way Republicans do politics in America. If you go back and watch the debates of Donald Trump in 2016, it's crazy.
We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East. They lied. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
I remember being like, damn, that's not how politicians in general really talked at that time. Like, we would see it from Bernie Sanders and maybe like Ron Paul, but to get up on stage in a Republican debate in front of Republican donors saying that kind of shit was unheard of. Bro was getting booed. Trump won in 2016 by decrying the bloodlust and warmongering of the Republican Party, but also by speaking to the economic woes of the average working class American. Basically saying, I see you, to people who felt like they haven't been seen by either party in a very long time. Like, I saw people in my life, my neighbors and stuff, that were all like Obama voters, like just flipped to Trump, and now like all of Long Island. Long Island is like the Florida of the Northeast, bro. It is like Trump country there now. Before Trump, oh, my nuggies are here. One second. I must go get my nuggies. It's nuggie time. 34-year-old woman, by the way.
Literally me.
Mother, by the way. Before Trump, the Democrats basically...
God, I'm glad I'm not 34 yet. I wish I was a mother. I like being silly like that. Only slightly jealous.
Relied on talking about how the Republican Party didn't care about the working class. But eventually, the problem for Democrats was the working class didn't care about them. But now it seems like the Republican Party is going back on all of that and becoming the Bush-era neoconservative party again, right as they're winning, embracing freaks like Lindsey Graham.
So I just want to say, I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going.
Exile. Bring back exile again. He's a traitor. He should be exiled at the bare minimum. That's the moderate solution. The Republican Jewish coalition. I saw this a few weeks ago, and I was just like, there we at it once again. Wow. Do we need to play some Kirby Air Ride right now?
As a nation, we're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
Republicans, is that what you want your party to be? Lowering taxes and killing people? We tried that already. To many Republicans...
I mean, yes, but not in that context. I want lower taxes, and I want the death penalty to come back. I want public hangings. I want people who commit crimes to be incarcerated.
Republicans, the solution to the affordability crisis wreaking havoc on Americans is simply trusting the free market, working hard, and if that doesn't work, they bust out all reliable.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here.
Wait, did his kippah get larger? I know he's been like hard on the whole Jewish boner because there's been so much pushback on the right against Israel, and he's been, Israel's top guy, #1 defender. Did his kippah get larger?
I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that.
Ah, yes, the classic.
That's literally just Jewish propaganda. I'm not even joking. I'm not being hyperbolic or anything like that. I'm not being extreme. It's literally Jewish propaganda. The whole melting pot. There was literally a video of a Jew, I think it was at the coalition, but it might have been a different thing, coming out saying the Civil Rights Act and immigration, everything else is all Jewish.
According to John Fetterman himself, his Zionism puts him out of step with the rest of his party, which, I'm sorry, only 13% stand with Israelis against the Palestinians. This is a party whose grassroots is right now captured by the left. And so Zionism does not have a future in the American left. The Democratic Party's relationship with Zionism depends on whether it's willing to repudiate that far left. And the thing that makes this so appalling is that Jews built the left in this country. We built the labor movement. We broke the New Deal. 70% of the lawyers who worked on civil rights cases were Jews. We've been at the forefront of every liberal and leftist issue in this country. The absolute chutzpah of saying, you're not welcome here. You know what it reminds me of? When they banned smoking in bars. I was a smoker. And I was so outraged. I was like, if there's going to be a turf war over this, surely the smokers should have gotten the bars, okay? And you can so easily imagine a counterfactual in which the left in America said, wait a minute. We can't oppose Zionism because we would lose our beloved Jews who have been there with us at the forefront every minute that we built this movement. We have to find a way to make sure that Zionists still feel welcome. We could never do that to them. And they didn't do that. They did the opposite.
I just let her talk. Do I need to add any commentary, chat? Do I need to add anything more to what she just said here? Just fully says it. Her name is Batya Ungar Sargon.
I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, well, I wonder why, huh? Okay.
It's the classic. Just move. Just move from economic zone 67 to economic zone 69. I don't know, man. Maybe some people actually like where they live. Maybe they want to make their community better. This is like the libertarian version of just deal with it when you talk to leftists about crime. Like, no, we shouldn't just deal with it. We shouldn't just move. Maybe we can make the cities in our country livable and safe. Maybe better things are possible, actually. My husband and I moved away from our families because of his job, and it f***ing sucks. It sucks raising kids without an extended family around. Say hi to grandma on FaceTime. Not normal, not natural. When I was growing up, it was like aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents were just coming in and out of my house, like bringing over food, like, hey, I got some mancati. I would be babysat by my cousins and my aunts. And because we moved away, my kid won't have that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's one reason many young people are putting off having children. The complete lack of community, the lack of a village. If you can't afford to live where your family lives, just move to fucking Gary, Indiana, where there's nobody around and no jobs and no family and no friends, but hey, at least you can afford a house there. That's not how life should work, Ben. Maybe take a step back and try to understand. Am I doing bird hands too much? You guys have made me so insecure about the fucking bird hands thing ever since this meme. Listen, I'm a woman, okay? We are programmed to scold children. And when no children are around, we scold people on the internet, okay? Anyway, Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, be happy that I don't have a 3D model that tracks my hands. I don't do the bird hands. In fact, the bird hands actually kind of feels a little bit unnatural to me. I don't normally put my hands in that kind of position with the little like pecking motion, but I gesticulate a lot. Like if my tracking suddenly dies for like a millisecond, it's because my hands are just all waving in the air, like woo 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 woo. Yeah, as you can kind of see.
Fuentes is a far-right commentator and a controversial figure to say the least, but his main topic he covers is Israel, which is an extremely hot topic that many other right-wing commentators seem to not want to touch. And the rare times they do touch it, it's them telling you not to talk about it, questioning why you care so much, or shape-shifting into the woke mob they fought against for so many years, calling you names, calling for you to be censored. What's funny is they didn't care about any of Nick Fuentes' rants on like race or women. They only started caring when his rants on Israel were blowing up. Nick recently did an interview with Tucker Carlson, which completely
I mainly agree with her on this point, because Nick has been a hot topic since the Tucker Carlson interview, because, ooh, Tucker is so evil for doing it. I watched it. The VOD's on Rumble, if you want the full unfiltered thing. There was a video on YouTube that's been edited down, thank you, Winters, shout out the Winters, and it's pretty tame. Like, I'm not a fan of Fuentes. I am neutral on Fuentes. I actually generally agree with him on actually a lot of points, but he's also had a few controversies in the past that I've heard of where I'm like, okay, in that case. So I am neutral on him, and, you know, it is what it is. But if you're somebody who's never really watched him before, kind of like me, where I've only really seen some funny clips passed around from years ago, and this is your first introduction to him, he comes off quite nice, actually. quite relatable. I mean, there's a reason of why the thumbnail says I'm the Groper VTuber now, because everything he said in there, except for a little bit, there was one instance where I was kind of like, about. I basically agreed with him, and because of that, that's why they're going after him. Though I will say, before the Israel thing, he was, number one evil bad dude because of his views on race and women. In particular, there's a reason why he has been deplatformed on a no-fly list, etc., etc. But it's now that he's more and more mainstream, or more and more acceptable on the right, now he's Mr. Enemy number one. My biggest gripe with Fuentes is the January 6th fiasco. Yeah, that's my biggest thing too that makes me a little bit suspicious of him. But once again, I'm neutral on him in the day, right? I agree with a decent amount of his points. I don't know that much about him actually to give a full judgment, and frankly, I don't really care because he is. How do I say this exactly? Not coming the wrong way. There's very few people that I actually genuinely like and actually engage with their content. I'm actually very picky. I know a lot of names. I know a lot of faces. But actually, watching their content is something that I just don't really do. And now that I'm my own content creator these days, I definitely don't watch people. Because, one, I like to try to form my own opinions, even if they might be a little bit retarded. And two, I just simply don't have the time or the energy to do so. And so, I'm just neutral on him. And I don't feel like that's a bad position. I know that upsets people who like him, and I know that upsets people who dislike him, but I don't care because, okay, whatever. Tucker Carlson, I'd probably say I'm a little bit more positive on him, but I'm still I'm not a fan of him, I would say. In fact, he's too much of a civic nationalist in these days, with it, in my opinion. But he's still okay after all. So I don't have actually a lot of people that I actually genuinely like and want to support. But that's mostly because I just like to hide in my corner. It is what it is. I'm neutral on most people.
United the MAGA civil war that was brewing on the right for some time now. It got so ridiculous that even Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor and called for a disavowal of Nick Fuentes. Sir, with all due respect, none. Why do politicians need a resolution in the Senate to disagree with a citizen? Hello, I have gathered you all here today to disavow Hitler Bussy 420. People can't afford groceries, Charles. Ben Shapiro, in particular, has spent the last few months extremely confused and angry about Zoran Mamdani and Nick Fuentes becoming popular in the mainstream, all while his numbers continue to drop. I honestly don't think he understands what is happening here, so I am going to explain to you, Ben, what exactly is going on here. The American dream does not exist anymore for most people. Young people followed advice that worked for older generations, and it got them nowhere. Young people are tired of this stale, moldy, old, dead consensus that has dominated American politics for a very long time. The one that dragged us into all these foreign wars and sold us out for some cheap plastic shit from China. Young people are tired of being told to sit down and shut up and pledge allegiance to the free market in a country that seems to not give a shit about them, as well as a foreign country they have absolutely no connection to. For so long, establishment hacks and establishment shills looked at the issues bothering the people and just kind of dismissed them. Can't afford to live where you grew up? Just move. Don't like that the toothpaste is locked behind plexiglass? Just deal with it. Think it's kind of f***ed up how you work 40 hours a week and still can't afford to pay rent? What are you, some kind of communist? You don't like funding a genocide with your tax dollars? What are you, anti-Semitic? If you don't address the issues of the people will gravitate towards those who are addressing those issues. It's not meant.
The genocide argument is a left-wing argument. I know she's a socialist, but generally on cultural issues, she's more right-leaning. Am I because she's YouTube safe and I'm not YouTube safe? I do not care about sand people, okay? There is war all over the world, almost all times, okay? I don't care what happens in the sandbox. India and Pakistan almost won the war earlier this year. African tribes still fight with each other. Gang violence is on all-time, well, let's just say all-time high, but gang violence constantly happens. You know what the genocide I actually do care about? About white people. I care about the white genocide that's literally actually happening in real time in front of our faces. How many more white girls need to be murdered with public transportation? How many more white girls need to be raped and murdered, their tongues nailed to the table in Britain to a Pakistani rape gang? How many more arsons need to be committed? How much more of the replacement that we need, because it's not a theory. It's literally a United Nations report from the early 2000s.
Donnie's faulty one. It's yours. It's not Nick Fuentes' fault he's popular. It's yours. The tragedy of Ben Shapiro is that he led a life worshipping the free market, only to lose in the free marketplace of ideas. Now, with all this neocon rhetoric coming out of the GOP, are the Democrats going to pick up the populist ball that they are fumbling? Are they actually going to get their shit together? Well, they are trying, because they have written an article called Deciding to Win, where after interviewing over 300,000 American voters from both parties, they may have finally discovered the secret to winning.
To give ourselves the best chance to win, we recommend the following changes to our approach. Democrats need to 1. Focus our messaging on an economic program centered on lowering costs, growing the economy, creating jobs, and expanding the social safety net.
Deport the 100 million illegals, because I do believe it's roughly 100 million. Look at fucking Charlottesville. Like, there's probably a good chunk. Okay, I compromise the 75 million. There's a lot more than 20 million, I can tell you that. Guaranteed. Okay? Deport them, and then deport the 55 million visa holders as well. But if you literally cut the population in half, all of a sudden, houses get really cheap, groceries get really cheap, wages go extremely high because there's nobody to work. There's actual jobs available, not these fake online postings here.
2. Advocate for popular economic policies. Moderate our positions where our agenda is unpopular, including on issues like immigration, public safety, energy production, and some identity and cultural issues.
So basically it took—
Oh, hold on. Including immigration. Okay, so stop letting illegals in. And stop talking about ICE and how they're all Nazis and fascists. Okay, public safety. So, maybe don't let the blacks roam free after 50 arrests. Energy protection. Yeah, people don't really like solar and wind farms because of how much they actually ruin the environment and how ugly they are and how weak they are compared to nuclear. And here's the keyword, chat, some identity and cultural issues. I don't know, like DI, the very same thing that Trump's executive order promised to get rid of root and stem. But something tells me that's not going to happen because there's something called bridge. And the whole point of bridge is to use lawyers to get around that executive order and try to refocus and change and to continue on the work to make it continue with DI efforts. Don't think that's happening.
Immigration, public safety, energy production, and some identity and cultural issues.
So basically it took you guys 10 years, millions of dollars, and dozens of Microsoft team meetings to come to the conclusion that everyone has been saying forever. You wasted a decade worshipping at the altar of mentally ill Karens, and now you're acting like, hey, what if we were normal is a groundbreaking political discovery. F*** you. I could have told you all this for free. It is a bad sign that it took you over a decade to come to the same conclusion that my audience has come to like a decade ago. And they're all retarded. Please reflect on this, I beg of you. Also, what do you mean you had unpopular positions on public safety? Like, why would you even say that out loud? Yeah, let's vote for the party that admits it was wrong about the issue of crackheads shanking people in the street. I love this quote from Nancy Pelosi randomly shoved in here.
Winning an election is a decision. You make a decision to win, and then you make every decision in favor of winning.
How deep?
Hey, Vosh.
How thought-provoking. Thank you, Nancy. What would we do without you? Probably win an election.
Democrats have changed our focus. In comparison with the Democratic Party of 2012, today's Democratic Party is more focused on issues like climate change, democracy, abortion, and identity and cultural concerns, and less focused on the economy and middle class. The table below shows this shift. Through an analysis of the prevalence of selected words in the 2024 Democratic Party platform in comparison with the 2012 Democratic Party platform.
This whole study is really interesting, but I need you guys to see this chart because when I first saw this, the scream I screamed. So Democrats since 2012 have increased their rhetoric on race by, sit down, 1,137%. On the gays, 1,044%. Their rhetoric on men has decreased by 51%. It is now negative 51%. On fathers, negative 100%. They just stopped talking about that shit. Veterans, negative 31. F them. The economy, negative 51 because nobody cares about that, right? The middle class, 79%, but I guess you can't really talk about something that is disappearing. And jobs, negative 47%. It somehow gets worse. Apparently, voters trust Republicans more on the most important issues to them, and trust Democrats the most on the least important issues to them. Like, they literally care the least about LGBT, but trust Democrats the most with it. The most popular Democratic policies among voters are things like lowering drug prices, banning stock trading, expanding Medicare, and raising the minimum wage. While the most unpopular Democratic policies are things like abolishing the police, providing free healthcare to illegal immigrants, and affirmative action. You're telling me this for the first time. Democrats, here is some advice for free. You can't just be MAGA light. Why would people drink Mr. Pibb when Dr. Pepper is right there? You know what I'm saying? You gotta bring something different, something better to the table. And that difference should be working class focused economic populism. I don't just want two neocon parties, okay? But all of this is pointless when it's clear the Dems are not changing at all. They're just gonna change their messaging. They're putting pretty wrapping paper and a bow on a big fat smelly turd. There is a chance that the Democrats may win based entirely on Orange Man bad. Again, which means they might get into office by learning absolutely f***ing nothing.
I know MAGA isn't doing too well right now. Because, like, I don't consider myself a Trump supporter. Once again, like I said earlier, I never really consider myself a pure Trump supporter and like, yeah, Trump, I love him so much, I'll suck his dick for free. You know, like, I love that orange popsicle so fucking much. Like, hell fucking yeah. I've always had the position that I just vote for people that I support the policies for, and Trump has been the one, and he's been really good and consistent, and as the left has gotten more and more insane over the years. I still have the mentality now, but the issue is that, I think a lot of people, and I could be wrong in this, maybe I'm not speaking for the right people, but I get the feeling that the people who are on more radical right, like I am, would still vote for Trump if they had to choose the vote, just because they're aware that anything the Democrats do is going to be worse. We know that even if they change their messaging, it's not what they actually believe. They got here for a reason, after all. Like, it's been identity politics, gay race communism, and women and browns, which essentially is gay race communism, for example, really, for decades now, and it's only gotten more and more extreme. It's not going to solve the problem. They're going to make things worse. And worse and worse and worse. They're just taking a few steps back so they can take a few more steps forward later on in the future. Like, I don't think it's not enough for me to switch, and I don't get that feeling from anybody else just yet. I don't think, and I know, frankly, the reason why Mamdani and the Ross won wasn't just because of Trump has betrayed his base. They won because of brown and women. That's literally the statistics. That is literally the statistics. I was like, okay, Winters, when he edited the video, bring them in. But the thing is, I keep on saying this the whole entire time in streaming. I kind of want to back myself up. Problem is, I don't know where it's at in my tabs. I haven't cleared my tabs anytime soon. I have to go find all the way when I covered the election stuff. Is this it? Is this it? Okay, so here's the Mamdani results. And I can show you here. This is exactly what I was fucking talking about earlier. So, like when I was saying that it's completely a brown and woman problem here. So, females are 55% in this case for when it comes to 51% voted. Now, it's pretty even, so it's not completely there. But if you look at how they voted in this case, whites are still 45%, which is still 45% too high, but everybody else is above 50 in this case. And in this case, averaging out the 56. Where it gets even worse when it comes to Mamdani, and this is my biggest point with him in particular, how long have you lived in New York City? Less than 5 years voted at 86% here. 5 to 10 years, 79% here. 10 plus years but not born here, 55%. Now supposedly, so this is when you add them together for how the percentage of voters, in this case 35%, 8%, and 8%, you now have almost 50%, half of the voter base being literally foreigners in this case. Literally foreigners voting for Mamdani. So regardless of the whole race and gender issue, they are still foreign born that specifically voted for Mamdani in this case, with only the people who say they're born in New York City at 45% of the voting at 39 rate. So there's a foreign problem in the case of Mamdani. And who knows what generation they're kind of at in the case of being born in New York City too. If it's like born in New York City, but I was born 20 years ago to Pakistani or parents or whatever the case is, then they're probably the 39%. If I was born in New York City, I was born and raised my entire life. My parents have been here since the 40s or whatever the case is. Oh, not my parents, but like my family's been here since the 40s. They're probably part of the 48% that didn't vote for Mamdani. It's infuriating, and this is in Mamdani's case. They didn't. Not to mention also New York City is very blue. And it comes to the governors as well, which I covered with this during my stream. Shout out to my stream that I did to cover this. Where the fuck is it? Demographics of Destiny. There we go. Watch the VOD on Rumble. I cover all of this. In this case, that's actually what's happening here. Yes, Trump is a joke with this, but I don't think the right wing base is desperate enough to vote for Democrats just yet. But they might. But I guess the possibility is the fact that they could win because people don't vote. I know I did see some big people that I like talk about how they're not going to vote in the midterms. They're not going to vote for either party. That's where the Democrats might win. It's going to be like a Labour situation in Britain. The reason why the Labour Party won their election in Britain last year was because people just didn't vote because they hate the Conservatives so much, but they also hate the Labour, and so Labour just won basically on default.
Again. Then the voters will go, oh my god, nothing has changed, and then they'll vote for a Republican. American politics is just a revolving door of villains, isn't it? Rest assured, whoever wins, we lose. If you're actually gonna do this shit, if you're actually gonna do what you're saying in this little article, you better be going whole hog, not just a tip. I'm talking embracing shoe-silism. For many years, I have been smeared as many things. Grifter, flip-flopper, fence-sitter, racist, sexist, homophobic, but I am not a grifter, flip-flopper, or a fence-sitter. I'm simply living in 2055. You see, America has been a hyper-capitalist, economically center-right, socially center-left country since about the mid-century. And I know libertarians in my audience are gonna be like, it's not capitalism, it's cronyism. Okay, whatever the f you wanna call it, it sucks, okay? So what if instead, and hear me out, what if instead we were a more people-focused, community-focused, working-class-focused, economically left, socially right country? All the data shows more people fall into that quadrant, the populist quadrant.
More conservative on cultural, social issues, more progressive on economic issues. What is this, 2020? Okay, more progressive on both. Only 46%. More conservative on both, 32% electorate. More progressive on cultural, social issues, more conservative on economic issues, 5%. Not sure, let's see. Okay, for 3,003 self-reported 2020 voters. And that's not a very huge poll. But I guess it's better than nothing, and it also depends on where the city's at and who they're asking, because a black woman's going to say something different completely than a white man in that case. It looks like more progressive on both is winning. Even if you were to combine the conservative on both as well as conservative on cultural social issues and more progressive on others, that's still roughly the same amount as the more progressive on both, and you have to combine the two.
All the data shows more people fall into that quadrant,
This is from 2016. Oh, that's going to be definitely skewed in a more left-wing position. A lot more people were more left-wing in 2016, including me.
Populist quadrant, the shoe-silist quadrant, if you will, than the current system we are in today. If a shoe-silist party existed, it would be incredibly popular, but it doesn't exist. And that's probably by design, honestly. The Social Democrat Party of Denmark has passed many progressive policies that liberals in America would only dream of. Protection from rent hikes, free college and healthcare, carbon taxes, and a very strong welfare system. But the Social Democrat Party also believes in a strict immigration policy. They believe that if immigration is too fast or chaotic, it puts pressure on working class communities, weakens social unity, and makes it harder to maintain their strong welfare system. Wow, what a f***ing grifter Denmark is. I feel like so many people nowadays are like terminally left-right brain to the point where like they look at issues and instead of being like, that solution makes sense to me. I believe that. I agree with that. They instead go, that's the left-wing solution, therefore I will believe in that. And it's so stupid and hyper-partisan and makes absolutely no sense to me. And that's why I think like a lot of left-right brain hyper-partisan people don't understand me or people like me. That's why they call me a centrist or fence-sitter or flip-flopper or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm not a fence-sitter. I have many strong opinions. You just don't like them. And no, I'm not.
Honestly, I wouldn't even call Shoe a grifter. As somebody who's been watching her these past 10 years since she's been basically starting making videos, she has been consistently economically left-wing. I don't think she's ever really changed that point. She was a Bernie bro back in 2016. I remember her ranting all the time about how the DNC basically executed him from the party, even though he was supposed to be the one supposed to win and replace him with Hillary. She has economically been left-wing this entire time. And culturally, she's also been more right-leaning. I say right-leaning, but the right has shifted over the years this entire time, because she started by making, and she as part of the anti-SJWs. That was literally the label called. There was a skeptic community where she was dating Armor Skeptic from there, and the skeptic community then broke off into being SJW versus anti-SJWs because it got more and more political, culturally political, than it did talking about how God is not real and the flying spaghetti monster that the skeptic community was originally talking about with this. And she was an anti-SJW, and so which is the modern, more, or I should say the normified, the mainstream basically version of the gay race communism, the original of it. Once again, mainstream's the key word here, because this has been going on for decades now in colleges and behind the scenes with critical race theory. But hitting Tumblr, and then starting to trickle outside of Tumblr more so, with Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn, and making videos and actually having influence in games actually like that. That was part of the whole SJWs and feminism. They also brought up Black Lives Matter during that time too. The gay push, gay marriage got legalized in 2015. The trainings were starting to get a little more popular by non-binary too, though they didn't start hitting the fray till 2020. Like, she's been here since the beginning. I do not consider her a grifter. I know since she's had a kid, I've heard she's become a little bit more actually conservative on different things, but that's normal usually when people have kids, because you start thinking about the future beyond yourself. She's been pretty consistent. In fact, if anything, she's one of the few people that's basically stayed the same throughout the years. I mean, she's questioning Israel now and actually talking about this, not a fan of immigration, and immigration wasn't a talking point back in 2016, really. Other than building the wall, which I don't remember her being actually against building the wall either. But granted, once again, her mostly was joke videos and anti-SJW stuff, not that kind of deal. But she really isn't a grifter. She's basically been the same fucking thing this entire time.
Not a flip-flopper just because you don't understand the concept of having opinions that don't perfectly fall on the arbitrary, always changing left-right axis that is American circus politics. There's nothing incoherent about my beliefs on paper. None of them contradict one another. I don't understand. She likes free healthcare but doesn't want to chemically castrate children? She believes in workers' rights but wants a stricter border? I don't get it. Like, where is the contradiction? I'm basically just Bernie Sanders before he got his spine surgically removed by the DNC. In conclusion, MAGA and the Republican Party embracing populism is what made them so popular in the first place. But if the Republican Party's answer to all these issues young people are having is, F you, just move, you're not talented, maybe you'll own a home when you're 70 years old, they're doomed. Like, they had a small, brief fling with populism and ghosted it. Just pumped and dumped. Like a fat whore they're ashamed of and won't bring out on dates in public.
As I'm editing this, Trump and Mamdani had a meeting together, and it was very interesting.
We were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea. When he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me, and I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing.
She was ranting about the DNC thing for a long time, and I remember being spurned because, actually, fun fact, chat, fun fact, if you really want to call me a grifter, I liked Bernie too in 2016, actually. And Sargon was also a Bernie supporter too in 2016 until he got kicked out too. As you can kind of tell, I was easily influenced by the people I watched, like Shoe and Sargon. I watched other people too in that time period, like Chris Ray Gunn. Teal Deer didn't come around till later. Uzlu didn't come around till later a little bit. V, Arch, Blair White, Logic, Darkmire 2525, Bible Reloaded. I'm trying to think. I heard of Baring, but I never really watched much of his content in that case. Yeah, basically kind of like that stuff, right? And then Bernie got kicked out of the race, so it's just like, well, Trump it is. Because in 2016, I thought Trump was the lesser of two evils. I didn't like Hillary at fucking all. A lot of it because of what happened to Bernie, but also because of the emails and the fact that she's Hillary. It was like, well, Trump I would be. Too bad I'm a teenager in high school, so therefore I can't vote for him. So, but yeah, I am easily influenced, which is one of the reasons why I don't watch people anymore, for that reason, when I'm trying to, make my own content now.
That and saying that, I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
I'm sorry, this is my new favorite problematic Yowie ship. They love each other. Maybe it's not over, folks. Maybe the power of friendship and populism will save us all. Listen, I want my kids to grow up in a safe...
I mean, jokes aside about the whole Trump and Zoran Mamdani being gay lovers, it actually does make me upset that they are getting along so swimmingly, because there are like 5 different ways to deport Zoran Mamdani. He should not be here. He's fresh out the fucking boat, open communist, and we can talk about the socialist policies and a homogeneous society, like she brought up with Denmark over there. There's a reason why it's working well in Denmark, because they're a homogeneous society with no black people and no immigration. Anyways, and it's very small. But we don't have that in America. He's fresh off the boat, open communist, openly talks about how he wants to tax white people in more specifically, racist. His whole entire voting base is foreign. There's really nothing American about him. He's openly subversive. Easy open shut case to get rid of, like Ilhan Omar. Instead of talking about it, should do it.
An affordable world where they can get jobs and they can start a family and then they can have the same for their kids. And I feel like at the end of the day, that's what most people want, left and right. They just have different ideas on how to get there. It just so happens my ideas happen to be the correct ones. And if you disagree with them, you will be sent to the re-education camp. Do you want one? Do you want a nugget? Pledge your allegiance to shoe-socialism and you get a nuggie. So that was that little video. If you liked it, please subscribe for more. And if you want to help support the channel, donate to my Patreon, link down below. All patrons get every single video uncensored a day early. If you can't or don't want to support me on Patreon,
there's no benefit, but support your local e-whore.
That's fine. I don't care. I didn't want you to anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Baka. Okay, I will see you guys soon with a fun slop video, just in time for Christmas.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh wait, she has the little gag at the end. Hold on. Wait, where's the gag? I guess that was basically kind of the gag at the end. But like, the last 5 seconds. Some edited out clip. I miss that. I'm sad, actually. Damn. Shoe-socialism, totally not National Socialism, guys. I know. Well, that's actually the thing. That's basically what it is. Because National Socialism is government comes in and takes care of you. There's lots of welfare programs in place, like the housing and jobs, public transportation, healthcare, exactly. Those kind of deals. That's the socialist policies that were also promoted in a certain time period of almost 100 years ago. The national part of things is where it's only for your people, only for your country. You're not trying to spread it to the rest of the world like typical international communism, essentially, is to protect all the workers, they must rise up, fight capitalism. It's only for your country and your country alone, and because you are your own ethnic identity in that case. Now, she's not going so far with ethnicity in her talking points, which is unfortunate. This is where I can sympathize with it, because it does work in small, homogeneous countries like Denmark, as she brought up. Norway, the UK had the same fucking thing until they started importing things in. Like this, there's a reason why the leftists always turn to the European countries as the examples of this, because they didn't have these problems, and they also had the economy to make it work. There's other things in place too, because we can't have full-on communism like under the USSR. But if you kind of mix them kind of all together, there is a logical argument for it. However, I don't think that works for America in particular. One, demographics are extremely important. You need a homogeneous society. So many statistics at this point have proven how bad a multicultural society is, and it just simply does not work. The Somalians can go to Somalia, the Indians can go to India, they can have their little shithole countries, and it's fine. And then also with America, the other demographics is the urban youth, and they are the welfare recipients, and they're not actually participating in work in society. Because the other thing is, you can get the welfare, but you also need to work. You can't just live off your EBT cards with you get $3,000 a month. And then also the fact that just America is simply too big. There's literally too much land and too much of a population there. It only works in very small segments. There's just too many problems for America. So that's where I would advocate for state. I would advocate for state policies if we were to do that. But, and it's again, until we solve the first two problems, it's not happening. Of ourselves, how will merchants benefit? Oh, wait, that's pretty anti-Semitic of you there here. Socialism is the communism in those, so we do have policies to support some, but definitely needs to be cut right now. Yeah, there's the other part, like, that makes me nervous is socialism is basically just a stepping stone for communism. And so we would need policies in place to stop that from evolving into it. But then again, liberalism in itself has brought in these problems. It's also a stepping stone for communism. It's the origin point of it. And communism is the end goal, whether everyone wants to admit it or not. It's just a bit more further ahead than what was socialism. So it's like, okay, well, I don't like that either. And that also makes me hesitant for it. And I know it's nice that Shoe has her own solution with Shoe-solism, and I'm glad that she does, actually. I do, because at least she's trying to actually advocate for, like, solutions.